So, yeah, that's one thing that I've never really said in public, so thank you guys
No problem.
for that. And you know why I've never really said it in public, because you can't attribute that to somebody else. So the next time you see him on the NHL network, or he's doing a little color commentary, just remember the very color commentary that he did in the penalty box that time. So, yes?
Where's a good start, a good place to start, like grassroots comedy in DC?
Grassroots comedy, well, it depends. I mean, there's a lot of different types of comedy. I used to do stand-up. Stand-up comedy, I think, you've got the Improv, you've got a number of other clubs around town that do open mic nights, and those are a great place to go in and work your material, get a little, 5 minutes up in front of a crowd. Because if you haven't done the stand-up comedy in front of a crowd, it takes a little getting used to. The first time I went in, Jim, did you go with me the first time I did stand-up? Were you there? Was that the night that I walked up on stage and followed Kevin Lee, who was the comedy juggler? And he had a rapid fire Chris Rock kind of delivery, and he steps off of the stage after juggling chainsaws mixed with scarves and things of this sort, getting people laughing and the whole thing. And he jumps down, and I get up on the stage to start talking, and suddenly he jumps back up on stage, grabs the mic like Kanye West, says another joke, and then good night everybody, and off he goes, and I'm standing there. And they give a little clock, a little timer, egg timer, 5 minutes, click, 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 click. And I started doing my comedy material. Now when you're preparing your comedy material at home, you think you've got half an hour. Just to let you know, your half an hour is about 1 minute and 32 seconds. Once you get up on stage, especially if you're very nervous and your delivery is not getting any laughs. So there you go, I'm up there, I got maybe 1 or 2 laughs. A heckler said something, and I was like, whoa, hey, this changes the rules. I didn't know it was an audience participation thing. Lovely. I always love the hecklers, because the guys come in, they're very drunk, and then later, you spent half of your act basically arguing with them and going on, and you do get some laughs, but then they see you later on and want to talk to you when you're standing at the urinal going, hey man, we did great out there tonight. Yeah, thank God, because if I had planned any material, I would have known what to do with it. But the hecklers got the best of me that night. About 1 minute and 32 seconds, I'm sweating like a pig up on the stage. I look back behind me and still see I have about 3 minutes and 30 seconds of hell left to go. So I basically just turned around, grabbed the egg timer, turned it, crack, ding! Well, folks, it looks like my time is up. Thank you very much. You've been a wonderful crowd. I'm gonna go home now and hang myself in the closet. Good night. So, get used to stand-up, going out to the clubs, getting used to the rhythm of it. If you fail, don't stop. Everybody has failed. Everybody who has ever done stand-up comedy or any kind of comedy has had a suck night. I've had more than my share. But you just keep going. You just keep going. I've done sketch comedy, improv. If you want to get into improv, take some classes over in Arlington at the Boston Common Mall. They've got the comedy sports there. You can do some classes there, do the comedy sports. That's a great way to go initially, because when you're doing improv, you're counting on a number of other people. You're not out there naked. Actually, if you're out there naked, you'll probably get the brown bag fellow. They'll put the bag over top of your head, which makes no sense if you're naked, because that's not what is offending people. But that's basically it. Look for people who are out there doing funny things, and then go say, hey, can I come out and play? Anybody else? Yes?
Have you ever found yourself working with someone you absolutely idolized, except didn't know what to do exactly because you were worried about embarrassing yourself in front of them?
Constantly. Constantly. The worst example of that to me was I used to work at a radio station in town called WHFS. And I was doing an interview with George Carlin, and he was only on the phone. He wasn't right in front of me, but he was on the phone, and I idolized George Carlin. And every word that came out of my mouth while I was talking to George Carlin, I knew I was stupider and stupider. I couldn't say a decent thing. He'd start talking. He was great. He was a god. I love him. And then I'd start talking and be like, hey, So that's basically the questions I was asking George Carlin, and he humored me very nicely, and it turned out to be a fairly lovely interview, especially after I cut out most of my questions and just let him talk. But there have been very few. I mean, getting in radio was a great exercise in that for me, to meet people who I idolized, who I thought were fantastic and wonderful, and discovering that really they're people. They're just like you and me. Everybody is a human being with their own insecurities, their own faults, their frailties. And just because somebody is big and famous and a superstar or a millionaire doesn't mean they don't take the stinkiest shit you ever saw. So, again, Jim, I apologize for in front of your children. Here you go, guys. So, yeah, people are people, and some of them are very, very nice. Some of the best people are the most famous, nice people. They've been the greatest, and others have been somewhat of a douchebag. But it is, you know, what did Forrest Gump say? Like, it's a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. Any person you meet in humanity can be that. So, yes, there was another question right over here, I believe. I could have been very wrong. Oh, yes, it was you.
When you play a game from the Elder Scrolls series, do you have a favorite kind of character to play as?
Well, I like playing the Imperials, because the Imperials are me. Why would I want to play as anybody else? You know, you take a sword and, yeah, you know, I make those sounds in the bathroom myself, so that's a great place to practice your thrust and die moves. That's the last thing you do, by the way, in a voiceover session. They give you all the character deaths, because all the character deaths are going to kill you. Every night at a Caps game, and it's usually because we're either tied or behind or just right around there, we end up having to unleash the fury. And I just do this diatribe, and I go on, and I rail on, and I scream out, unleash the fury, and my face starts turning about as red as the jersey. And the guys in the box just suddenly turn and watch me. And they look at it reading about this red, and they start taking bets on when I'm going to have a hemorrhage. You know, is this the night that we watch Wes's head pop like a scanner? And so far, I've survived. So, but the fact of the matter is, it rags on the voice. And playing the deaths of characters rags on the voice as well. But I mean, if you can't have fun pretending you're getting run through with a bayonet or shot with a Gatling laser gun, then you shouldn't be in the biz. Yes. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you have? You obviously have a specific voice that you go to for different characters, but do you have a go-to voice for different experiences in games, per se?
No real go-to voice. I mean, the only time I've ever repeated a voice was after I did Lucy and LeChance for Oblivion. They asked me to do a character named Mr. Berg for Fallout 3. And they said, we want him to be a Lucy and LeChance type. And if you listen, it's pretty much the same voice, except I pulled a little bit there. Lucy and LeChance has a little bit of an accent, and Mr. Berg does not. Mr. Berg's accent is just very English. I want you to blow Megaton off the map. You know, so it's the same kind of thing, and they wanted that. So I did it. What's really great is I think I did about 12 or 13 different voices for Oblivion, between Vanilla Oblivion and the Shivering Isles. And I did about 7 different voices for Fallout 3. And I loved reading after I did Mr. Burke as the same voice as Lucy. And people were like, Wes Johnson does only one voice. He just does that voice over and over again. But, you know, that's fine. At least they're paying attention that I'm doing any voice. Yes?
What do you sing to in the car?
What do I sing to in the car? Whatever voice comes into my head, whatever song happens to come into my head, I'll just start singing it. At that moment, my boys then turn on the radio. The radio coming on is when I'll listen to the Beatles. I love singing along to the Beatles. We'll all sing along to the Beatles. Maybe a little Violent Femmes, you know. I mean, you're driving down the road, you're singing Blister in the Sun, you know. Radar Love. Raid Our Love. How many people have been pulled over because they were jamming out to Raid Our Love? I've been riding on up, my head's wet on the wheel. Ah, crap. You know, whatever, you know, a lot of things strikes my fancy, you know. 40s music. Yeah, big band, swing. Yes, ma'am. I love them both. I mean, they're different worlds. They really are. Okay, thank you. They're really different worlds. Fallout, you can be a little more extreme, a little more profane, you know. But I really feel very close to both of them. That would be Sophie's choice. We got a real quick. I can take these two last questions, and then we'll do the Shatner to finish it off. Okay?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
You said that you play the games that you've been in.
Yeah.
Do you have any games that you like besides the ones you've been in?
I love Red Dead Redemption. Loved Red Dead Redemption. I mean, that was totally absorbing, and I thought that Rob Marston did a fantastic job with the voiceover. Has anybody here not played it who's planning to play it in the future? Yeah? Well, then I'll just, not to be a spoiler, but something in the voice acting changes a little bit later. If you've played it, you know exactly what I mean. And that's kind of like, aww. You know, because it's an open-ended game. You can play and play and play. However, certain things will not remain. But it's a beautiful game. It's a beautiful game. I love that. BioShock, fantastic. Love BioShock. It's really good. Yes?
When did you decide to be a full-time voice actor?
I'm still waiting for that to happen. Nobody's a full-time voice actor. I do commercials around the area. I write and produce radio commercials, television commercials. I do things, I did a TV show recently for RFD TV called Down Under Horsemanship, where I did more of a Sam Elliott kind of voice. It's about Horseman Clinton Anderson. So, yeah, so you're a freelancer. When you do voice, you're pretty much a freelancer, unless you can grab one of those lucrative network voice contracts. But yeah, full-time is looking for work. Actually working, maybe not so much, but you love every bit you do. Or you know, you just can't do anything else. I think that was it there. Now, how many people here remember HFS back when it was 99.1? Yeah. Let me pull this up here. All right. This is the lovely point where he searches out. Here we go. All right, wait a minute. It's coming out of here.
Turn it up a little.
This is not going to work. Okay, let's see if this will work.
It's coming out of the speaker. You just gotta turn it up a little.
Yeah? Are you doing the sound?
The audio cable's right in front of the panel. It's right there.
Where's your vision? You don't want
Over here? Is this it? All right, we did a song on HFS years ago. I was a big William Shatner fan at one point. We did a thing where I just did dueling Shatners back and forth. You Klingon bastard, you've killed my son. And we do this going back and forth, back and forth. And then we had a song come out by MC 900 Foot Jesus called While the City Sleeps. And he also put out on the very same album just the musical soundtrack, which I was like, yeah, we can play with this. So we did MC 900 Foot Shatner, and MC 900 Foot Shatner did a little song called You Klingon Bastard. Now, I will try to remember all of the words, and hopefully this will work. I have never ever done this live. It was only ever on the radio. Anybody ever buy one of the You Klingon Bastard t-shirts? One gentleman in the back who happens to be my nephew. Thank you. Thank you, Jacob. All right, well, here we go. Hopefully it's loud enough. If not, we'll stop and try it again, because that's what non-professionals do. Here we go. Still not working, right? There we go, hang on. Lovely. All right, here we go. Klingon. Well, my name is Kirk, and it's no surprise. I'm the captain of the starship Enterprise. It's a 5-year mission, explore new worlds and make it with a couple hundred alien girls. Don't touch the hair. I love your eyes. Now Genesis is the planet where my son David and Savik stare at a Klingon dude who's looking mean, wearing metal leather, Afro sheen. Afro sheen. Well, the Klingon pulls a big old blade, and Genesis is where my son is slave. My head starts spinning, don't know where I'm at. Everybody make room while I overact. Hey! Klingon, Klingon, you Klingon bastard. Klingon, Klingon, you Klingon bastard. You Klingon bastard, you killed my son, now I'm on rescue. 911 don't have a career now that Star Trek is dead. Know what happened? I lost my head. Hey! Klingon, Klingon, you Klingon bastard. Klingon, Klingon, you Klingon bastard. Klingon, Klingon, you Klingon bastard. You Klingon bastard, Devery Man! Mr. Devery Man! Come back! Come back! Mr. Tambourine Man. Klingon bastard, Tambourine Man! You killed my son. Mr. Tambourine Man! Denny Crane. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Now you know why I have never performed that live before. Thank you all very much. Thank you all for coming out. There were a million places you could have gone tonight. And I know you're all regretting your choice, but I thank you for coming here. Tomorrow at 1 p.m., a voiceover panel, especially those of you who have questions about how to become a voice actor, what to do, what do you read, do they give it to you in any foreign languages, you know, the kind of things you would ask. We'll be there tomorrow. John St. John will be there once again. Patrick Lowry, Ellen McLean will be there, and Matthew Mercer. We're going to have a great time. It's going to be, I believe, in panels 1. So I hope to see each and every one of you there. Thank you all for coming out. And let's go Cats.
You got the